Okay, we'll call the Public Works and Planning Committee to order. Mr. Stevens,
All right, let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful for the blessings of today. Father, we're so thankful for our great country in which we live and the freedoms that we have and the responsibilities and rights that we have to vote. Father, I pray that everyone elected this evening will do your will and will seek your guidance in their offices. And I pray that all of us who are here tonight can hear our information and make good decisions with a clear conscience. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, first up, planning. Minutes, excuse me. Approve minutes first.
I move that we approve the minutes as they were made.
Motion made, second approved, minute, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, planning.
Evening, Commissioners. Everybody's doing well today. First item, just to bring your attention, is our recorded lot inventory. Again, this is from January 2004 to the present. If you turn to, I guess that'd be page 404, which is the back of the second full page, you see our total available lots. Again, these are recorded lots that could have building permits pulled on them pretty much any time, is 809. That's up a little bit from last month. We did record a couple, not us, but the developers did record a couple of subdivision plats, larger plats this past month. So there's more lots in the inventory than there were. However, you can still tell that at this time last year, we're still about 150 less than what we were. So we're still seeing quite a bit of movement there. So there's no questions on that. I'll jump right into our rezoning report. We've got 3 cases for your consideration this month. The first is some property along Forest Lane, which is off Old Nashville Highway. This applicant currently operates a lawn care irrigation business immediately adjacent to the subject property. If you pull it up on your iPads there, you can see where the property is in relation to the surrounding area. The applicant would just like to purchase the property for future expansion purposes. After speaking with him, he really doesn't have any plans to do it right now to make any expansion. He has submitted a concept plan to kind of show what he's thinking about doing, but as of right now, he's really just looking at it. He doesn't want to be landlocked, essentially. He wants to have a little more room to expand into. Now, when you look at the map on your screens there on your iPads, that whole block, before we rezoned the whole county back in 2013, that whole block there was actually zoned for commercial purposes. Staff's not really able to determine exactly when that happened, although we know it was at some point, prior to the 2013 ordinance, probably in the 80s sometime, best we can ascertain. But when we rezoned the county, what we did was those existing residences along Hooper Street, and then there's an existing church along Scenic Drive, and then the property that was vacant that's under consideration today, those were just zoned back to residential because they really weren't being used for anything commercial oriented. So that's why the rezoning is coming before you tonight. This property actually was rezoned. It was zoned commercial at one point, so he's just really asking it to go back to commercial, a similar zoning classification as you can see that's on the adjacent property. So that's really all he's asking about on this particular application. The Planning Commission didn't really have any real concerns with this. I think they think it makes sense as far as what they're wanting to do with the property. So they did recommend approval of this by unanimous vote. The second application is for property along Highway 99. It's a little bit of a different situation. This property came to our attention because of a zoning enforcement action on the property. The applicants bought the property back in 2010, and they operate a paint and light body repair business on the property. The applicants do live on the property. A complaint was made to the county zoning enforcement office in August of this year. Essentially what caused the complaint, we think, is that there was a portable sign that was placed out in front of the property. So someone saw it and called in to find out what was going on, said that they were illegally operating a business. So we contacted the applicants. We were originally hoping that we'd be able to possibly steer him in what's called a major home-based business direction. The county's zoning regulation identifies 2 types of home-based businesses, minor and major. Minor are those that I would say you would never know they were doing it unless they told you you were doing it. Maybe they just do a lot of paperwork, phone calls, internet business, something like that in the home. Major home-based businesses are those that create more traffic, maybe they have more employees, those kind of things. The reason it's coming before you for rezoning is the fact that any kind of automotive repair type business is just not permitted as a home-based business, either major or minor. So we recommended at that time that the applicant say, if you want to keep doing this and you're not able or willing to change how the scope of your business is, we'd recommend you to rezone the property. Staff really took a neutral stance on this. You know, in one sense, I can see what he's trying to do. He is along a major arterial road, which plays into our comprehensive plan, mixture of type uses along major arterials. However, at the same time, is it really appropriate just to zone that one piece of property right there for a business? After discussion at the Planning Commission, the applicant was present. You know, there was several items of discussion from the Planning Commission. Ultimately, the Planning Commission did recommend approval, 6-1. Again, staff really is just still kind of neutral on it. At the same time, I understand what he's trying to do, and I think he's going to take good care of the property. I think a lot of the concerns from the Planning Commission really centered on if he wants to expand the property, you know, what steps is he going to have to take, how might that affect the area, and those kind of things. That was really a lot of the discussion that came out of that. Mr. Kush, if you had any further comments on that, I don't want to put words in your mouth. The last application is for a piece of property. I'm going to kind of scroll over to this one so I can see it better on the map here. Let's see here. This is for a piece of property along Highway 99. I'm sorry, Highway 231. This is Shelbyville Pike. The property is located directly, I guess, to the east. It actually borders along Christiana Fosterville Road, but the railroad separates it from the road, so they don't really have any access to Christiana Fosterville. There's actually a small access drive from the Smyrna Ready Mix plant. There's a small private drive that goes back there. The property was actually considered by the Planning Commission for a subdivision plat. They're looking to track it off into several tracks, and the applicant's only looking for one of the tracks to be rezoned for light industrial to do a portable sawmill on the property. As you're looking at the map on your iPads, it's really the furthermost left portion, kind of where that square is right there. If you were to complete the square, that's really the area he's looking to have rezoned. A little bit more than that, but essentially that's where the activity would take place. As far as staff's comments were concerned, you know, access was one of just the big issues there. Just actually accessing the property. I think he'll be okay with that. There were a lot of questions at the Planning Commission really about just the activity he was going to be doing on the property and possibly the noises associated with it. The track is a family-owned track. Now the applicant, I don't believe is, I'm not sure how he's related, if he is related, but those that live on the property know what he's proposing to do, and nobody was there to speak in opposition to it. So ultimately, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of the application by unanimous vote. So those are the three cases we have coming before you next week, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Got any questions? Need a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Building codes.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Building Codes Department report. Building activities for October was 200 permits issued. Fees taken in was $51,940 for building permits, $6,150 for plumbing permits, $1,105 for gas permits, for a total $59,195. On the back of that report are month-to-month comparisons. Last October we did 42 single families. This October 48, with 200 total for last year and this year for October. Our total single family dwellings issued this year was 542. That's 50 more than the 10 months of last year at the same time period, and Our total permits issued, 2,161, is 62 above last year's. Same time period. Our next page is our zoning enforcement inspections. We performed 138 on property maintenance. We had 5 BZA or conditional use inspections with 30 signs for a total of 35 inspections in that category. Our new cases for October was 20, closed 34. Next report is our development tax collections. Building Codes Department took in $382,500. Planning Department for lots took in $111,000 total, $493,500. Cumulative total for this fiscal year, $1,124,250. Breakdown in that October line below that shows Murfreesboro City had the largest collection jurisdiction at $350,000. It was some apartments over on Medical Parkway area. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, just remind me, how are apartments assessed? By dwelling, by unit, or?
Each unit is assessed at $1,500.
Just like a
The
lot there?
first, yeah, if it's 100 units, the first 750 is for the property, and the next 750 is for the first unit. Thereafter, each unit's $1,500.
Okay.
So the first unit catches the land itself.
So an apartment dweller really could pay more taxes than a single-family house? On the tax, I'm just thinking on the tax part. Well, I know we're not talking about the same thing, but on your,
Development tax.
yeah, on your development tax, right,
It's the same per unit as a single.
it's a single-family house, there you go, that's what I was trying to say.
That's correct,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it is. Each unit, according to the way our development tax is structured, a unit is cooking, sleeping, and bathing unit. So anything that's, whether it's a garage apartment or a mother-in-law apartment
Mhm.
or complete house or apartment, you know, is same fee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Need a motion.
Need a motion?
Second.
I'm just thinking what you think. All in favor?
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
I'm highway department.
We need a last, don't
Well, I thought Amanda wanted to do that.
we? Okay. We'll go to the highway department then.
How we doing, gentlemen?
Good.
So, what you have before you is an abandonment of a drainage easement.
You guys have that?
Gentlemen, I can give it to you.
Thank you.
This is a drainage easement that this council approved last month. An issue came up where we were set on the down end of the water outlet side, and as we were coming back up, we had to cross a homeowner's driveway culvert, and we had to upsize that culvert to make our drainage work, and he did not like that because we would have to go outside the right of way of the road, and said he wasn't interested, said he didn't have any flooding issues. As a result of that, we're gonna abandon this easement because we're not able to upsize that culvert, so it doesn't make sense to upsize the drainage that's on past it, so.
So by not agreeing to what you wanted to do on his property, you're not gonna do anything?
What we were intending to do out there, we're gonna upsize the pipes that go underneath the road and then create the easement for the water to go out once we upgraded the pipes under the road. And since that driveway culvert is not gonna be upgraded, and it's an 18-inch pipe, and since it's not gonna be upgraded, we're not going to upgrade the pipes under the road, so it doesn't make sense to make an easement for the water to go when the water can't get there. And the homeowner was adamant that he wasn't having any drainage problems, so he wasn't comfortable with the highway department coming in and basically making that roadside ditch bigger, and we had to move his fence and move his property.
Is he on the downhill? He's on the downhill end?
He's upstream from where the pipes under the
Okay.
road would be going,
Okay.
and then upstream from where we want to create the drainage easement.
So he is the only one that would have impact that could be negative, and it's not.
Right, yeah, that's the question I was gonna ask.
Right.
By refusing this, he's not putting anybody else's property in danger.
No.
Okay.
And the original motive is not necessary, whatever that.
Well,
The reason this issue came up is Greg is planning on, our highway superintendent is planning on paving Thompson. And while we were paving Thompson, we were addressing
Yes.
pipe. So we're still replacing the pipe under the road, and then we're gonna still put on topping whenever he gets to that. But we're not gonna upsize the pipe now.
I understand. But the condition of the pipe is fine.
Say again?
The condition, I mean, it's not rusted out.
No, we're gonna replace that pipe.
You're just gonna do it the same size?
Or something equivalent to
Okay,
that.
okay. You're just not gonna upsize the pipe,
Right.
which is what you wanted to do.
Right.
Okay.
The action is still to, what do we do with the previous amendment?
So this is to abandon the easement that was created out there. So it's gotta go back to the road board, which it's already been, and then it goes through here and then the full county commission. And then I also have to go out to the homeowner and let her know that this is gonna be abandoned and get her signature, and then it's officially withdrawn.
So the motion would be to abandon the previous easement that we agreed to last
Yeah,
month.
yeah, that's what.
I so move.
I'll second.
Everybody clear now? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes, that's what
He went that choice.
Yeah.
Good evening, how are y'all? As usual, your first report talks about our landfill and how we did last month. Everything's going pretty well. We got our new gas monitoring wells installed. Those were about the middle of the month, and they're up and running and doing fine, so we should be able to test for our methane gas a little better. We're still having some issues with groundwater monitoring. In the past, it was always thought to be a leachate problem. And once we've gone through all the testing and everything else, it's a gas migration problem. So we're going to continue to address that, see if we can make that better. And on the convenience center side, we suffered a loss this month. One of our convenience center attendants passed away. He and his wife both worked for us. So we had to deal with that tragedy for us, and then start hiring people and training and starting all over. But the convenience centers are still doing well, and the trash volumes is actually down just a little bit from last year. We're still working on the school recycling and trying to promote recycling, and we've got some interns in place that's trying to do some advertising and some stuff. We should have some public service announcements hitting before it's too terribly long, with a big push starting in January. Our big push is to get everybody to recycle as well as we can, because as you know, Middle Point's going to close in 12 years or so, and then we've got to figure out what we're going to do from there.
How are these interns going to be used? Give us a little bit more detail.
Okay.
If that's,
Yes, they're both in the communications department of MTSU. One of them's a senior, one of them's a freshman. The senior has been working with some of the Nashville television stations as an intern, and she's produced, promoted, and edited her own television or news stuff. She's been on the news some, so she's helping with that. And our other one is a freshman. The senior is from Antioch. The freshman went to Blackman High School. She's here in Murfreesboro, and they make a really, really good team. So we're going to wind up spending some advertising money and do some promotion. One thing we found out from the MTSU study from the last year, when we had the 6 proposals for the public relations campaign, is the solid waste department is not loud and proud enough. And we've always gone in and tried to do our job, be quiet, and get finished and get gone. And we've got to change that. We've got to be out in the open and try to draw attention to ourselves instead of being so quiet. So part of what we're going to probably do is wrap a few trucks, use some slogans on the back of some trucks. One of them may be, you recycle, you may not follow this load, something like that. You know, just a little short attention getters. Trying to get ready for the city mayors and the county mayors all do a public service announcement. Get some other politicians and celebrities, and then also just plain everyday folks. Trying to get everybody aware of the situation.
Who do the interns report to?
They report to Colonel Davison and our old IT department.
I have a question about this last Saturday's hazmat. How did that go?
We had I think it was 161 or 2 vehicles. Went extremely well. We had the Smyrna High School small animal care class help do our surveys and all that kind of stuff. It was a very cold and windy day. And
You were cold when I went through it.
We were at the City of Murfreesboro Mulch facility on the concrete, and there's nothing there to block the wind. So, but it was very successful. One question that we have been getting, and you may get, we try to answer it the best we can, is the Haley Road facility with electronics. As you know, we had to redo the contract, and we've got a fee structure set up. It is free to a point for residents. So if Mr. Piercy comes in with 4 televisions, we're going to charge him 25 cents a pound for all 4 of them. If he says, no, you know, I could get 2 for free, no, you've got 4.
What if I bring 2 today and 3 next week or something?
If that's a good possibility. We try to watch for you and remember. But,
You couldn't charge me anything.
and we've got a lot of residents that do that. But if you show up with those 4, we're going to charge you for what you leave. Even if you I'm going to leave 2 and take the other 2 home. No, we're going to charge you for those because exactly that. You're going to bring those other 2 later. So we get questioned on that quite a bit. But we're trying our best to help defer some of that cost and keep the businesses and things like that from taking advantage of us. We've spent close to $30,000 since July already getting rid of televisions.
There's a lot of dumping of TVs. I've noticed that was at the Smyrna radio site there at Moore Hill. Last week I called Smyrna PD and advised them there were 3 or 4 TVs on the side of the road there. There've been TVs at Tiger Hill. So people are getting rid of these old TVs and
We don't know what to do with it.
They know the right thing to do, they just don't want to pay for it.
Right.
Just like we made the change at the convenience centers for Sunday, and that's been a little bit of a struggle, but most people understand it, to where we don't take the bulk items on Sunday just to save money, and it has saved us a lot of money already. So that's just, it's a change in culture. And part of this advertising public relation campaign is going to be just that, helping to try to get the culture changed. But it's going to be a struggle, and it's not all going to be easy.
What other components do you have in the recycling staff? Colonel, some interns?
Mimi Kiesling is our education recycle coordinator.
Okay.
She'll be coming before you sometime, though.
And she reports to,
She reports to the mayor, but she works through the solid waste department.
She comes up so often, give us dates.
okay.
But she's the one that goes and speaks to of course, she's in the school system working with the children, but the Kiwanis Club and all those different types of organizations that meet, we try to get her in there to speak and let them know what's going on. I do a little bit of that, but not, she's a whole lot prettier than I am, so they'd rather have her than me.
Nobody's gonna touch that one.
Nobody's gonna argue that one, darn.
But the schools are just a source, though. The tremendous amount of debris coming out of the schools is not being recycled.
Right.
Okay. We need to consider how to enhance that.
We've got some thoughts on it, and the mayor and the deputy mayor and I have talked about it. We've not came up with anything yet to just say this is what you have to do. We're trying to be gentle.
Can you see it becoming mandatory in the future?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Well, at our facility, we just color code recycling bins, just educate consistently, have folks put them in the right bins.
And it's hard to get people to do that.
It's very difficult at work as well.
The Stones River Battlefield, they've got 3 containers side by side, 1 trash and 2 recyclable. If you take the labels off and look in them, you can't tell them apart.
Yeah.
When it's so easy just to do the right thing, but people are just gonna drop it the first thing they get to. And that's the culture we've got to try to change. And it's not just here, it's nationwide.
Does the state offer any grant money to help promote and advertise
They
and
do.
market recycling?
We
And are we tapping into it?
we are part of the recycle rebate group. There's 11 or 12 counties that do that. So we've got a set amount of money that we are eligible to receive from the state every year. That money comes to the city of Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne. Eagleville was part of that, but they've been dropped off of it, and the county. And the way it's set up, if none of the cities take the money, then the county gets it all. And when I first started, it was close to $40,000 a year. Now it's closer to 8 to 10. It's a lot less money. Through the Tennessee Department of Transportation, we actually contract with them. A lot of people call it a grant. It's not actually a grant, it's a contract for the state roads. So you see the vehicles out on the interstate with a pickup truck, several people picking up. We do the same thing. We just do it on the state roads within the county. We don't do the interstates. So that's the actual contract for them. So we have to keep up with how many miles we cover. They provide the trash bags. We have to count the bags, all that kind of stuff. And then TDOT actually comes behind us and picks it up. Our litter crews that we run on the county roads, we pull trailers as we pick it up. We pick up the trash along with it, the trash bags, and take them with us. And then there's grant money for that as well. So the county litter crew grant money is roughly $95,000 a year. The state contracts roughly $34,000, somewhere in that neighborhood of the monies we receive from that. And then we've got, if we got out of the recycle rebate, we will be eligible for some grants. Most of the grants that they've come down the road with so far, we're not interested in at this point. We will be. If we build a maintenance facility, we'll apply for the used oil grant, and along with that comes the used oil heater and the tanks. So we would, in our facility, we would heat the shop with used oil. But we're not ready for that yet, so we haven't applied for that. And if you don't have any more questions, you approve the report, and I'll bring Colonel Davidson up with me. We'll tell you what we've been up to.
Need a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Like on Mr. Mills, when I went to school with him, it surprised me. I went down there and they just put some trash in you there, and then a couple of days later when I went back, he said he passed away.
He's a super nice guy. His wife is too, and his wife actually works at the Eagleville Center, and she won the Over and Above award just last month. And she does an extremely good job.
We presented it to her the day before her husband died on Friday.
Colonel Davidson and I have been working with, of course, the interns, and then we've also been working with the city of Murfreesboro. Our trash problem is not just the county problem, it's also the city of Murfreesboro's problem. It actually will be Smyrna, Laverne's, and Eagleville's as well. But the city of Murfreesboro has their own solid waste department. They service roughly 41,000 homes plus some businesses. Their amount of trash last year was somewhere around 33,000 tons. Ours was 40, close to 46,000. So we're not real far apart on the amount of trash that we haul. They did about the same amount of tonnage in brush that they ground up and make mulch out of. So that really helps us on our diversion factors and our recycle. So Colonel Davidson found a place in Georgia that is really doing a lot of things, waste to energy type stuff. So we went down and visited with them. And I'll let him tell a little bit more about that, but before we get into that, they had an old landfill that was very similar to the Rutherford County landfill. Almost identical in size, almost identical in age, and with a lot of the similar problems that we have. And they dug the landfill up. And when they dug that landfill up, I was asking some questions because he piqued my interest. About 30% of what they dug up wound up going back to the landfill. The other 70% was either dirt or recycled materials. Once they completed the project, they were having groundwater monitoring issues really similar to what we have. 5 years later, those groundwater water monitoring wells are clear. It's back to drinking water standards. So that's something that we may want to look at in the future with our landfill, you know, if we try to use it or not. Now, what they did is they moved it to a different sale. What we would probably do is if this system goes and we decide to go with it, we'd do something different with it to explain to them what we saw.
I reached out to the Environmental Protection Agency. I wasn't getting the information I really needed from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, and the EPA pointed me in the direction of Lamar County and Mr. Johnny Poor. I reached out to him back in August, and he invited us down. And we're really sort of in the information gathering mode. We're trying to find exactly what type of technologies out there that maybe will help us in our waste, municipal solid waste issue. And so we went down. He uses they have a prototype for a waste to energy system that uses pyrolysis. I am already above my pay grade in terms of scientific information. It's a downdraft gasification. It uses almost zero oxygen to burn the trash that has been pelletized, okay? And then they take the after product, which is hydrocarbons, and they sell the hydrocarbons. The hydrocarbons are ethane, propane, methane, pentane, octane, hexane, and they'll bottle that, and that is what they sell. They received the go-ahead from the state of Georgia. They've got a $27.5 million loan from Georgia to build a full-scale waste-to-energy plant that'll treat 200 tons of municipal solid waste a day. They'll start building their operation in about the March time frame. It'll take 15 to 18 months, and we're going to kind of monitor them through this process and see how it goes. We've still got a lot of work to do, but this is very interesting and shows some promise, and that's something we want to continue to monitor and keep our eye on it.
So two conversations. The one landfill, the same landfill that was excavated and redone. Some was recycled, 30% went back. Was it part of this?
Same facility.
And they're going to continue to grow by adding the thermal.
What they did when Johnny went to work down there roughly 30 years ago, he was a consultant, and they had a problem. The landfill was going to close in about 4 months, so they brought Johnny in to try to get it closed and get it taken care of. Across it's an old county road that wasn't very heavily traveled. There were some properties, so they got permits and they moved across the road and they started a Class 1 facility and then dug up. Once they have done what they have already done, they get their process up and running. In 30 years ago, 4 months life expectancy. Once they get up and running, they'll have 101 years of life expectancy. It's about a 68-acre plot of land. They're currently working in sales 1 and 2. this process will be in cell 5, and they don't anticipate ever building the other cells. They'll be able to basically go landfill free. In any process, you know, zero landfill is really not practical, but you get awfully close. So they're going to be very close.
There's two byproducts from the process they use. One is the hydrocarbons that I spoke of. The other is a biochar, which is almost all carbon that they capture that reduces the waste by 90%, and that's what they're putting into their landfill, and that's why it's increased the landfill expectancy by 100 years.
And they're hoping to find a market for that biocarbon as well.
The other byproduct is already marketable.
One of the things that they had was octane, which is used in gasoline. And the way he explained it to us is all the gasoline gets sent into the pipeline the same, and then each of the manufacturers get their share of it. They add their additives to it, and if they want more octane, they add more octane. Well, that's one of the processes, is this octane, and it's a very valuable product. The statement that he made that I'm not interested, well, I am interested in it, but that's on down the road for us, is he hopes when they get up and running, they get the money paid back, they have about $5 million in reserves, they will start helping the citizens of the county pay their tax bill from the Solid Waste Authority. They're planning on generating a lot of revenue. I'd love to see us be able to generate the revenue, but the exciting thing for me is just dealing with the trash and getting a 90%, you know, reduction in the volume. You know, that right there is a win for us.
The old Metro thermal plant was antiquated compared to this, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It was just an incineration process. It takes a lot of energy just to incinerate that.
This downdraft
Gasification.
process is,
Uses very little energy to do the actual downdraft gasification, to develop the hydrocarbons. To distill the hydrocarbons takes a little more energy, but still it is an energy positive process.
Most of the waste and energy plants that we've looked at and talked about, they wanted to take the waste and make the fuel to burn in a generator to make electricity. Well, to make that generator run, you've got to have very consistent fuel source, and garbage is not consistent. It's not near consistent enough to keep the engine running. You know, so this would create the gases, basically all the hydrocarbons, to be put out on the market instead of trying to run it in an engine right there. And I like that a lot better than trying to run an engine. Middle Point Landfill a few years ago set out to do the same thing, and their methane, they can't run their engine off of it, so they wound up having to abandon that project. They still collect the methane, they burn it off, but they don't try to make electricity anymore.
good work. Thanks.
This will just be the first of several opportunities we hope that we continue to evaluate.
When I'm working on getting a passport, you know, they say Europe really does this well, so Colonel Davis and I are probably gonna spend a month in Europe researching what
I know my way around Germany pretty well. So.
Yeah, I think Norway and Sweden are big into some of this stuff.
Anybody got any other bids? Not a move adjourned. That's interesting about the land.
Matt,